So I thought this year I'd share a little secret with you. What's in my teacup? And no, I'm not just sipping any old tea. I mixed together 10, count them, 10, of the very best polyphenol-rich teas out there. And I sip them all day at the office. I'm excited to walk you through each one of them and explain why they made the cut for my daily brew. All right, let's get started. Organic bitter melon. Now, bitter melon has been used in traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine for centuries to actually help manage blood sugar and diabetes. Why? It's actually full of polyphenols, particularly flavonoids. Now, these flavonoids and polyphenols mimic the effects of insulin and actually help regulate sugar levels. They do this, if you've read any of my most recent books, by acting as mitochondrial uncouplers. But what's really exciting about teas in general and their polyphenols is we now know that these polyphenols are some of the favorite foods for your gut buddies, for your microbiome. And it's thanks to the microbiome eating these polyphenols that they then pass on the benefits to you. In fact, a study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found improved glycemic control in patients with type 2 diabetes drinking bitter melon tea. And it actually has a really interesting flavor that adds to my flavor profile. All right, what's next? Japanese white mulberry. Now, white mulberry leaves have been used to control blood sugar levels in East Asian medicine and were historically cultivated in China, as you probably know, for silk production. Now, the leaves are actually the preferred food for silkworms, but white mulberries tea has quercetin, chlorogenic acid, and rutin, and with a notable presence of DNJ, which plays a crucial role in inhibiting sugar digestion and absorption, thereby supporting healthy blood sugar levels. Now, interestingly enough, research in diabetes care showed the extracts helped lower blood sugar after carbohydrate intake. All right, gynostema. Now, it's also known as jiaogulan in China. It's referred to as the herb of immortality. Gynostema is known for its adaptogenic properties, which help increase the body's resistance to stress. Now, there's a type of saponin similar to genocides in ginseng. Gynostema is celebrated for its adaptogenic effects. In fact, a study in phytomedicine reported enhanced heart function and reduced chronic fatigue symptoms in people who use it. I happen to have a mulberry tree at my house, and mulberry leaves, and particularly mulberries, are really some of the finest polyphenol containing substances you can get. Now, why use it in tea? It turns out that hot water is really useful for extracting the active ingredients in all these teas, and that's where the whole idea of teas came from in the first place. Speaking of whole ideas, classic green tea is in here. Now, originating in China, green tea has been celebrated for its health benefits for thousands of years. Now, the polyphenols in green tea are predominantly known for its catechins, especially EGCG, which constitute about 30 to 40% of its extractable components. Benefits? Well, a meta-analysis in the Journal of the American Medical Association linked consumption of green tea to reduced mortality due to all causes, including cardiovascular disease. In fact, as you probably have read in other studies, drinking green tea has been linked with reduction in a great variety of cancer risks and reduction in prostate cancer in men. Mint medley. Now, mint is part of the basil mint family. As many of you know, mint has been used for thousands of years for its digestive benefits. It has obviously a refreshing flavor, and it contains menthol, a natural analgesic. Now, mint varieties are very high in rosmarinic acid. Now, you may have heard me talk about or write about rosmarinic acid before. It's actually a very potent antihistamine, and it's also a very potent longevity compound. In fact, one of the theories of why the inhabitants of Acciaroli, this tiny village south of Naples, Italy, live so long is that they are constantly cooking and chewing rosemary, which is rich in rosmarinic acid. And there are numerous studies showing the benefits of mitochondrial uncoupling with rosmarinic acid, and that's why the mint medley is in my teacup. Chocolate pu'er tea. Pu'er tea, which I've written about extensively, is from the Yunnan province in China. Now, it undergoes fermentation that produces, among other things, statin-like compounds. But it's rich in polyphenols that have actually been developed from the tea during the fermentation process. Now, these complex polyphenols increase with the age of the tea, thereby enhancing its flavor and its benefits. And you can buy multiple ages of pu'er tea. For instance, some have a chocolate flavor, hence the name chocolate pu'er tea. Now, the cool thing about the polyphenols being aged is we know that fermentation in general increases the bioavailability of polyphenols. So fermenting them before they get into you is like a double whammy of good polyphenols. Now, there is a study that long-term consumption linked reduced LDL cholesterol and increased HDL cholesterol, which was published in Experimental Gerontology. And it actually has a great kind of chocolate flavor. How about Guayusa? Now, it's native to the Amazon rainforest. Guayusa is known for its stimulating effects, and it contains caffeine, theobromine, and L-theanine. But it has significant amounts of chlorogenic acid, one of the most available phenolic acid compounds, similar to the compounds found in green coffee beans. Now, a study indicated that coffee rich in chlorogenic acid improved blood flow and endothelial function after a single intake. Additionally, chlorogenic acid has been shown to significantly reduce blood pressure in clinical trials. Now, clinical trials have also shown that supplementing with CGA, chlorogenic acid, and other plant extracts reduce body weight and blood fat levels. CGA has also been shown to reduce BMI and waist circumference in individuals with pre-diabetes. How does it do that? Chlorogenic acid is a magnificent mitochondrial uncoupler. And if you've read my books, you know that mitochondrial uncoupling basically produces a caloric bypass in you, which, quite frankly, is a good thing. White willow bark. Now, believe it or not, it was known as nature's aspirin. White willow bark has been used since Hippocrates' time for pain relief and inflammation, and it was actually shown to the pilgrims by Native American Indians for relief of pain. Now, it contains flavonoids and polyphenols like salicin, which is metabolized into salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin in the body. Now, this contributes to its anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving effects. But what's really interesting about salicylic acid is that most people don't know that fish oil, which is thought to be anti-inflammatory, actually has no anti-inflammatory properties unless it's converted by salicylic acid into a compound called resolvin. And it's actually resolvin that is the anti-inflammatory effect noted in fish oil. And you actually have to have a little bit of salicylic acid to do the job. So white willow bark tea gives me that little bit of salicylic acid, and this has been described in the American Journal of Medicine. All right, how about Shaka tea flavor Blue Magic, a blend of mamaki, butterfly pea, and lemon? Butterfly pea flower tea is rich in anthocyanins, which are responsible for the striking blue color in this tea, and it has antioxidant properties. Where have you heard the word anthocyanin before? Dark blue colored berries, like blueberries, like blackberries, are rich in anthocyanins. Now, it's rich in catechins and chlorogenic acids as well. And once again, I'm just doubling up on all those polyphenols. Plus, it's a lot better for me to get my anthocyanins this way than eating a handful of blueberries, which, as you probably heard me say, have been bred for sugar content. Also, sad to say, blueberries have now joined the dirty dozen list for the most pesticide, herbicide-laden fruits that you can buy. Darn it. Pau d'arco. Now, pau d'arco was used by indigenous tribes in South America, and the bark is rich in polyphenols. It contains quercetin and other flavonoids, but is particularly rich in naphthoquinolones, and which have been studied for their potential anti-neoplastic properties. In fact, I use it in treating my patients who have neoplasms that come to me. I'm after the polyphenols. I'm after the fact that it will inhibit neoplastic changes, and why not? Now, let me just add a few buying guides. First of all, always opt for organic teas. Secondly, avoid teas that come in plastic bags. You'll notice all of these are paper. Plastic, we now know, with the presence of heat, you will put microplastics in your tea, and that's not a good thing. Now, as for these, generally 1 to 2 cups a day is recommended for most people. Again, I drink this throughout the day. One of the big benefits of drinking tea is it generally lowers your iron levels. Now, unless you're a person who has very heavy periods, keeping your iron levels low, as I've talked about before, is a really good idea. Unless you're a person with low iron levels, then you really don't want tea as a major part of your diet. Now, as I noted, some teas do contain caffeine, so be sure to check the label and always avoid caffeine about 8 hours before bed. But in general, teas have far less caffeine than coffee. Finally, you'll also need to consult with your healthcare provider before adding any of these into your regimen. This is especially true if you're pregnant, nursing, or are currently taking medication. Soda is number 1 on the list to stay away from, yes, even diet soda. Now, if you think diet soda is better than regular soda, you're wrong. All of these ingredients in diet soda, now we know, kill off friendly bacteria in our gut dramatically. Yes, I'm talking about things like aspartame, sucralose, which is called Splenda. Even now, the zero sodas have ascophane, which is now recognized as just as evil as aspartame and sucralose. So there's no way out of this problem. Now, diet soda fools your brain. Your tongue has no sugar receptors. It has sweetness receptors. Now, back in the day, the only time you encountered sweetness was when you were eating fruit or happened upon honey. That sugar would go into your bloodstream. It would prompt your pancreas to make insulin, and that would handle the sugar. Your brain would get sugar, and it would say, oh, that's sugar. So when you have a artificial soft drink, a diet soft drink, the signal is sent to your brain and your pancreas that you're having sugar because you tasted something sweet. Your pancreas kicks up insulin, which is a fat storage hormone, but worse, your brain doesn't get any sugar, and your brain says, wait a minute, you've been robbed. You've been cheated. I tasted sugar. They lied to you. Go back and get some more and keep getting it until sugar arrives in my brain. That's why when I was at my peak weight, I was drinking 8 Diet Cokes a day and wondering why I was a big fat guy. Because I was constantly hungry, because my brain was constantly telling me, what the heck are you doing? Go find some sugar, you idiot. Well, that's why it's so dangerous. And we didn't even know back then how bad it was on your microbiome. Now, what are you going to do instead? Well, try one of my fake Diet Cokes. All you need is San Pellegrino and balsamic vinegar. Try to get the thick balsamic vinegar. It really tastes great. It's absolutely delicious. Amaze your friends at a restaurant. You can even customize it by adding some lemon, or if it's still too bitter for you, just add a little allulose, which is a true sugar that has no calories, that actually feeds friendly bacteria. So it's a win-win-win. So if that vinegar taste or apple cider vinegar in sparkling water is just a little too tart for you, add some allulose. All right, number 2 on the list to avoid, sports drinks. Now, there are some very popular sports drinks out there that you might think are good for you. So next time you see one, I want you to check out the label. These drinks are usually loaded with sugar. And the scary part is that sugar can be hidden by multiple names. Sucrose, dextrose, fructose, evaporated organic cane syrup. Cane syrup is sugar, folks, and when you evaporate it, that's table sugar. Corn syrup solids, high fructose corn syrup. These are all ways of putting multiple sugars and hiding them throughout the label so that you think that one individual sugar isn't that high, but it's cumulative. Many of these sports drinks have artificial colors and dyes that make them look more appealing. Look out for red number 40 and yellow number 6. If you see them on the label, run. Again, even if it's a diet drink, diet sports drink, where it says 0 calories or 0 sugar, look at the label. If you see aspartame, sucralose, or acetylcholine, run. Now, usually the sports drinks and the energy drinks are right next to each other, and they're designed to give you a buzz. Usually they have an incredibly good dose of caffeine. The caffeine may be hidden in other ways other than cola or caffeine. You may see guarana, you may see other buzzy words, but they're usually wrecking your health. Manufacturers aren't required to show how much caffeine is in their beverages, so they will hide it. Some are very proud of the amount of caffeine, but other ones just hide it under these fruit names or names of cola berries. They can be really dangerous for your heart health. They can cause high blood pressure. So the no-calorie energy drinks, that sounds like a winner. They're loaded with these artificial sweeteners, so you're getting a double whammy again. I'm all for sports drinks and electrolyte drinks, but use my favorite. My wife is addicted to it. She's a great athlete. It's a powder called Element. Now, Element is LMNT. There are no additives. There's no artificial sweeteners or flavors, but it still gives you all the properly proportioned electrolytes that you're looking for. And they even have like 8 different flavors. There's even a watermelon. I kind of like the salty chocolate myself. Number 4 worst thing to pick up are fruit smoothies. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Give fruit the boot. Fruit is full of sugar, and it makes you gain weight. Now, it's one thing to eat a whole fruit, but when you throw a piece of fruit or lots of fruit in a fruit smoothie and then whip it up, those sugar molecules, which were bound to fiber, are now freed up. So you get a main line of fructose. And remember that many fruits sold at big box stores are sprayed with chemicals like Roundup, like herbicides that you probably absolutely don't want to consume. Be careful of the fruits in fruit smoothies that are sold at these shops. You really don't know where that fruit came from. Are there alternatives? Sure. Make a green drink from the plant paradox. Easy to do. If you really want to get those little portable smoothie makers, just throw in a handful of lettuce, a half an avocado, some lemon juice, maybe a handful of spinach leaves, some ice cubes, and you're good to go. Just stay away from these fruit smoothies. Number 5, cranberry juice. First of all, cranberries are fruits. Fruit juices are a silly trend that should be stopped. They're full of sugar and they're not healthy for you. I get a kick out of seeing no sugar added cranberry juice, or no sugar added orange juice, or no sugar added apple juice. If you see the words no sugar added, what that really means to you is there's so much sugar in here already, we didn't have to put any more in. That's what no sugar added means. Now, it's a common misconception, particularly among women, that cranberry juice is healthy for you, especially for preventing urinary tract infections. Now, the problem is that there is a really good chemical in cranberry juice called D-mannose. D-mannose is actually very effective, but there isn't enough D-mannose in cranberry juice to make that much difference. You can use cranberry extracts or get D-mannose capsules, and you'll be far better off. And unfortunately, low sugar cranberry juices now get their sweetness from artificial sweeteners. So you're back to square one. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Stay away from juices. Let me give you one example that's a real fun one. Ocean Spray makes a cranberry juice, and it says no sugar or sweetener added. There are 31 grams of sugar in an 8-ounce glass of Ocean Spray cranberry juice. That's 7.5 teaspoons of pure sugar per glass. Coffee with milk or sweeteners. Coffee is fantastic. It's a great source of polyphenols. But if you put milk or other binders in it, you will bind those polyphenols so you won't get any benefits. You're only going to get benefits of polyphenols by drinking black coffee. And putting all those other wonderful things to make coffee delicious, like in a Frappuccino, that is just a giant sugar bomb that has no health benefit whatsoever. Alternatives? Hey, learn to drink coffee black. I had to learn how to do it. My parents drank it black. Or add allulose if you want a sweeter coffee. I finally weaned my wife off from adding almond milk to her coffee by sneaking every day a little bit of allulose into her coffee. And after about a week, she says, man, this new coffee is fantastic. I don't need any almond milk in it. What are you doing? And I said, I'm putting allulose in it. She said, all right, you've convinced me. Let's go for it. Worst comes to worst, add unsweetened coconut milk, and just make sure you're looking for unsweetened. Number 7, the hip drink coconut water. Now, this is probably the most popular part of the coconut, but please steer clear of it. It's loaded with sugar, and that's even before manufacturers add more sugar and artificial sweeteners to make it taste better. The alternative, come on, stick to regular water or eat the other parts of the coconut. Coconut meat is actually great for you. And if you've got leftover coconut water, put it in your hair. It's great for hair strength and health. Number 8, vodka. Why? Vodka has absolutely zero benefits besides the buzz. It has absolutely no polyphenols in it. Now, why is that important? Well, most spirits are merely a way of getting polyphenols into you. So, for instance, anything that's aged in wood extracts wood polyphenols. And believe me, wood polyphenols are really important. There's a polyphenol supplement that I love called pycnogenol, French maritime tree bark. These spirits soak these polyphenols out of the wood. So if you're going to have tequila, get the dark stuff. If you're going to have rum, get the dark stuff. Bourbon, scotch, that's extracting polyphenols. Even gin has juniper berries and other herbs that are part of that. But vodka, there is absolutely no benefit. Stay away from them. Red wine is aged in wood. Some white wines, like some Chardonnays, are aged in wood, but most of the white wines are not aged in wood. The other thing that's a problem with our American system of drinks before dinner, particularly cocktails, is we don't realize that our cells will actually preferably use alcohol for energy production. A lot of time what happens at cocktail hour is you drink vodka, for example, and then you go in to eat. So what happens is that you've already met your energy requirements with that vodka. And so now all the carbs, all the proteins, and all the fats that you're going to eat at dinner arrive, and your cells are full. So what does your body do? It deposits them as fat. Believe me, true Skid Row alcoholics are incredibly skinny because, quite frankly, they don't eat very much. But people who use alcohol and notice their weight's going up, it's because the alcohol is being used first, and then you're going to store all the rest of the things you eat as fat automatically because your cells have no more room. Finally, most of us realize that alcohol releases our inhibitions in lots of ways. I don't have to tell you in lots of those ways, but one of the inhibitions it releases is food tastes better, you want more food, and you say, oh, what the heck, I normally don't have dessert, but just tonight I'll make an exception. So alcohol in general, buyer beware. Act like a European, and if you're going to drink wine during the meal so you don't run into that problem. Despite being the number one fastest growing beverage in the soft drink industry, energy drinks are absolutely terrible for your health. In the past 5 years, emergency room visits from energy drinks have doubled, and some have even tragically ended in death. Yet one study found that 68% of adolescents consumed energy drinks. It's a huge problem. Now, unfortunately, these drinks can take a huge toll on your heart health, potentially causing rapid heart rate, tremors, heart rhythm disturbances, and seizures. A randomized controlled trial in 2019 found that energy drinks elevated blood pressure in otherwise healthy young adults. And another study published in 2022 connected energy drinks with hypertension in children and teenagers. Plus, as most parents know, they can cause mood changes like anxiety and nervousness, sleep problems, and even kidney damage. These drinks are no joke. But what's in them that could cause so much harm? Let's look at the ingredients. First of all, caffeine. Now, 1 cup of brewed coffee, 8 ounces, contains about 70 to 140 milligrams of caffeine. One energy drink can often have 5 cups equivalent of caffeine of coffee. Red Bull has 80 milligrams of caffeine. Celsius, 200 milligrams. 5-Hour Energy, 200 milligrams. And Bang, 300 milligrams. Now, energy drink manufacturers claim their beverages are natural dietary supplements, meaning these drinks are not subject to regulations that apply to food products. This means they're actually not required to disclose the real amount of caffeine, which actually could be much higher. Caffeine is dangerous in high amounts. You just have to look at the tragedy of Panera Bread. They recently took their charged lemonade drinks off the menu after facing wrongful death lawsuits from that caffeinated lemonade. It's true. You have to be careful with this stuff. And to make matters worse, energy drinks also contain other legal stimulants. Guarana, a South American plant with a more potent form of caffeine. 1 gram of guaranine, the derivative of guarana, is equivalent to 80 milligrams of caffeine. So that's even more caffeine that they don't even have to disclose. They just say guarana is in here. Taurine, another darling of energy drinks, it's an organic amino acid. Guess what? Our bodies make it naturally. You don't need to add additional taurine, but some energy drinks have 750 milligrams per 8-ounce serving. L-carnitine, another naturally occurring amino acid. It's made by the liver and kidneys. Now, unfortunately, we don't know what the addition of these additives do to the other things in these beverages. Just avoid them completely. Now, the dangerous ingredients don't stop there. Sugar. Are you ready for this? Rockstar, the 16-ounce can, has 63 grams of sugar per can. Red Bull, 51 grams of sugar per can. Monster, 54 grams of sugar per 16-ounce can. That's far more sugar than a Snickers candy bar. One Snickers has 20 grams of sugar. So as you down that energy drink, imagine that you're eating 3 Snickers candy bar. Sound like a good idea? It might taste good, but not a good idea. Don't even get me started with the sugar-free energy drinks. These could be even worse than the sugar. They use artificial sweeteners like aspartame, which has been linked to cancer and mood changes, and sucralose, aka Splenda, which has been linked to DNA damage, leaky gut syndrome, and intestinal dysbiosis. Finally, let's stop with the alcohol and energy drinks. Drunk and wired. In most studies, it makes the effects of alcohol even worse. A survey indicated that 25% of college students who mixed alcohol with energy drinks reported engaging in risky behavior like driving while intoxicated, compared to only 12% who just consumed alcohol. It makes you drunk and wired. Another study found that mixing caffeine and alcohol increases the risk of alcohol-related injuries due to reduced perception of intoxication. Approximately 54% of college students reported consuming alcohol mixed with energy drinks, which resulted in a significantly higher incidence of binge drinking compared to those who did not mix the two. It really doesn't get any worse than energy drinks. So please, folks, swear off energy drinks for good and spare your health. There are plenty of healthy options for an energy boost. Well, for a quick fix, have a cup of coffee. Yes, caffeine in high amounts can be dangerous, but 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day is just fine. Plus, coffee is loaded with polyphenols, which will improve your energy. But please don't add any cream or sugar. Number 2, get adequate sleep. Sleep is essential to have your brain go through a cleaning cycle. Seriously, adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I have plenty of videos here on my channel for tips for falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. But ultimately, if you're experiencing low energy, something is wrong. The number 1 cause of low energy is inflammation. And in my opinion, a leaky gut is the leading cause of inflammation. So what do I recommend for more energy? Focus on your gut health. Clean up your diet. Avoid lectins. Get more polyphenols. Have more fermented foods and ditch sugar and processed foods and drinks. Second, restrict your eating window. Make yourself metabolically flexible. This is directly tied to energy production and improves your mitochondrial function, which are in the job of giving you energy. Here's what I recommend as a healthy soda alternative. my healthy soda recipe. I'm actually going to give 3 variations of it for you to try right now. It's just a few simple ingredients. Italian sparkling water. Now, I personally like San Pellegrino. It has the highest sulfur content of any bottled water, and please buy it in a glass jar. But here's a fun fact. By law, Italian sparkling waters have to be pH balanced. There is no law in France, there is no law elsewhere that you balance the acidity from carbon dioxide. So I'm a big fan. I have no relationship with them, but I drink a lot of it. So you take any Italian sparkling water, my preference is San Pellegrino, and you make what I described long before TikTok or any other YouTube videos was my healthy Coke. Now, get yourself some aged balsamic vinegar. Most of the time it'll say balsamic vinegar of Modena. Modena I've been to, it's where almost all balsamic vinegar comes from. Now, the longer it's aged, the thicker it gets, and actually the sweeter it tastes. But here's something interesting. You're going to look on the back and say, oh my gosh, there's 11 grams of sugar in here. Labeling laws in the United States require you to put the original ingredients that you started with to make the product. And guess what they started with to make balsamic vinegar? Grapes. And grapes are loaded with sugar. But you say, wait a minute. Wine started with grapes, and I don't see any sugar on the wine label. That's because there's no labeling laws on alcohol. That's because the alcohol industry lobbied against a label. So you would actually see the same thing on a bottle of wine, but it's not there. So just because you see all that sugar, same way with yogurt. If you look at plain yogurt, you'll see like there's 9 grams of sugar per serving. No, there isn't. It's all gone. The bacteria have eaten it. And I can't tell you how many patients bother me that, oh my gosh, it's loaded with sugar. So start off slowly. For most people, I recommend about a tablespoon. I personally use 2. Now you'll notice this stuff is pretty doggone thick. I hope you can see that on camera. And the thicker, the more it's going to taste like a fake Coke. Now you can, if it's too bitter for you, here's a trick. A lot of times it takes a little getting used to. So get yourself some allulose. Now allulose is a true sugar, but it has no calories. In fact, it's actually a prebiotic fiber. So if you want and get used to this, put some allulose in. Or there's now liquid allulose, and you can squeeze that. And here it comes. So you mix that up. And some people, you know, you want a lime Coke or a lemon Coke. Let's put a squeeze of lime in. I personally don't use this, but there's nothing like a little fresh citrus to go around. Then, just add some ice cubes, and you've got a safe Coke. And the great thing is, that tastes great. One last thing, balsamic vinegar has the highest resveratrol content per ounce of anything, far more than wine. And resveratrol, of course, is the magic French paradox that people in France don't get heart disease, live forever, because they're drinking so much red wine. So you can doctor this any way you want, but that is the original fake Coke. But you say, I'm not a Coke fan, a cola fan. How about a little something different? Well, it turns out that bitters have been making a comeback. They're obviously in every bar now, but you'll often see these in
Well, you'll certainly see them in liquor stores, but you're beginning to see them in grocery stores. And so get yourself some bitters. This is Angostura, that's one of the most famous. And put some bitters in. Now, bitters by the name are bitter, but these things are concentrated polyphenols. And the more we're learning about how bitters became popular and how bitters are digestive aids, it turns out that's because of the polyphenols that are bioavailable because they've been fermented. Now, this is too bitter. So this time I'm going to use some liquid allulose. And again, you're going to put it in to taste. And then you're going to get out your trusty sparkling water. And don't obsess about finding San Pellegrino, but it's almost everywhere. And stir it around. And drop some ice cubes in. And you've got a safe root beer. This one almost tastes like a cream soda. And finally, if you're a fan of cherry or vanilla Coke, get yourself some flavored stevia drops and mix these in. So we're going to make a black cherry vanilla cream. So we'll take, usually all you need is a squirt of each. And these are easy to find in almost all grocery stores now, certainly in every health food store. Worst comes to worst, they're online. Again, with this combination, you usually don't need any additional allulose because they're sweetened with stevia. And throw in the San Pellegrino. And again, have fun. If you want to make this and put the cherry flavoring in, be my guest. You want a vanilla fake Coke? Use vanilla. The options are endless. We have probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 different flavors at home. So whenever we're, in the mood for root beer, we have that. If we want a cherry fake Coke, and there you go. We definitely have vanilla cherry here. Oh, I can't decide. I'll have a taste off after we're done. It's simple, it's delicious, and is actually so good for you. Now, once you give it a try, you'll never feel tempted to get real soda again. And let me know in the comments your favorite way to make it. I have a number of patients who are sensitive to vanilla beans. And easy, use imitation vanilla if you're sensitive. And please, I hear this every now and then, don't use balsamic salad dressing to make a fake Coke. Get balsamic vinegar, preferably look for the aged. And the longer it's aged, the thicker it is, and believe me, the more you'll like it. More amazing episodes just like this one. Watch now.
There are numerous studies about the health benefits of coffee, and one of them that everyone should know is that